Thank you, Madam President. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to all of you. It's quite a privilege to have this opportunity for interactive dialogue with you in this August Assembly, the most universal and representative forum of the global community. I want to be precise and I want to conform to your time limits, therefore allow me to read from my prepared speech. As we look forward to a meaningful exchange today, let me offer a few initial thoughts on how I would approach the responsibilities of the Office of the PGA. The 81st session of the Assembly will open at historic crossroads. The UN will commence its 9th decade at a time when trust in our organization is being tested on multiple fronts. Scourges of conflict and war from which our organization pledged the successive generations continue to inflict untold suffering. Development gains remain fragile and uncertain, and in some cases are regressing. Despite advancement in human rights, we witness a general backsliding of certain rights and freedoms across the world and shrinking humanitarian space. All this is happening at a time when multilateralism has come under increasing stress. Such challenges undermine the public trust and confidence in the ability of our organization to deliver its promises. Restoring trust, therefore, is the core of my vision. Working with member states, I envision addressing these challenges along 6 pillars of action. Excellencies. First, in advancing the organization's work on peace and security, I will draw inspiration from the work of more than 200,000 peacekeepers from Bangladesh who have contributed actively to international peace and security across the globe from Cyprus to Sudan. Building on my country's experience, I would uphold Assembly's moral and political authority and champion a holistic approach to peacekeeping and peace building that prioritizes prevention and political solution, strengthens peace building and protects civilians. I will support dialogue to make UN peacekeeping more fit for purpose and advocate for greater representation of women in peacekeeping. Excellencies, secondly, the 2030 Agenda is a major milestone in the work of the UN, but the gap between promise and delivery remains too wide. Ongoing energy insecurity has added a new layer of vulnerability for many countries. Experts have opined that the scope of the current energy crisis could be larger than the combined size of the double energy crisis of the 1970s. As a young diplomat, I closely followed General Assembly's deliberations on the consequences of the 1970s crisis for the countries of the Global South. For them, 1980s became a lost decade of development. I intend to work closely with all of you, all member states, on how we can prevent another lost decade of development and especially protect the vulnerable people in all countries, developing or otherwise. On the implementation of Agenda 2030, with the SDG Summit 2027 in mind, I will work with you all to accelerate implementation of SDGs that are lagging or regressing. Building on the outcome of FFD4 and the Compromiso de Sevilla, I will encourage member states to address SDG financing gaps, fulfill commitments on debt sustainability, and pursue reforms of international financial architecture. I'll be particularly mindful of achieving gender equality and full and meaningful participation of youth, women, and girls in all walks of life. I'll also be attentive to the implementation of the Doha Program of Action for the least developed countries, Awaza Program of Action for landlocked developing countries, and the Antigua-Barbuda Agenda, ABBAS for the seeds. Working with the member states, I will advance UN's cooperation with the African Union, particularly on Agenda 2063. Nearly 3/5 of global poor live in the middle-income countries. Following up on a recent UNJ resolution, I will convene a meeting to support the needs of MICs. Excellencies, third, on climate action, I will work with the member states on delivering on existing commitments, support operationalization of Loss and Damage Fund, and protect biodiversity, oceans, and land. Against the backdrop of the ocean decade, I will promote initiatives to advance science-based ocean action, and effective partnerships for the conservation of marine ecosystems. Fourth, I will uphold UNGA's work on human rights. I will work towards promoting synergy within and beyond even human rights mechanisms through multi-stakeholders partnerships. I will lend full support of the Office of the PGA to the high-level meetings to mark the 25th anniversary of the Durban Declaration and Program of Action and the 40th anniversary of the Declaration on the Right to Development. I will underscore the importance of protecting humanitarian space and remain attentive to refugees, migrants, and displaced communities whose vulnerabilities often miss the headlines. Bangladesh knows this in human terms, as we have been sheltering for years about 1.2 million forcibly displaced Rohingya nationals of Myanmar. I know it personally when I served recently as my government's High Representative on the Rohingya issue. Excellencies, fifth, emerging technologies, including AI, big data, and digital platforms, bring immense opportunities, but also entail serious risks of inequality, bias, and misuse. The question is not whether we will use this technology, we will, but how we will govern them wisely and fairly and make them available equitably. Building upon the important work of our current PGA, and I thank you, Madam, for this, I will champion inclusive implementation of the Global Digital Compact. I will work with the UN Youth Office to address youth unemployment with the advent of AI and other emerging technologies. Excellencies, finally, we must collectively demonstrate that the UN can adapt, reform, and better deliver in order to restore trust in our organization. The 80th anniversary of the UN, marked by the UN 80 initiative, the Pact for the Future, the Global Digital Compact, and the Declaration on Future Generations, has already charted an ambitious course for renewal of our organization. I will build upon these efforts and work with the member states toward making the UNGA an engine of member-driven and member-owned reform. I will organize inclusive consultations to advance the ideas of shifting paradigms united to deliver and remain invested in enhancing UNGA's coordination and synergy with the Security Council, ECOSOC, and Peace-Building Commission. Excellencies, I come to this debate from Bangladesh, a country belonging to the Asia-Pacific region with its long-standing commitment and contribution to the United Nations. At the same time, I myself have grown from within this system. For more than 3 decades, I served at the United Nations as a representative of my country and as a senior official of the United Nations. I actively participated in 16 sessions of the General Assembly. Promoting convergence and consensus has been a hallmark of my work at the UN. My institutional memory and proven ability to work with all, combined with my political responsibility at home, give me a clear and practical understanding of what this office requires. Excellencies, if elected, I will be everyone's president, full-time president. I will unfailingly uphold the UN Charter. I will engage all member states and pay attention especially to small delegations. I will conduct the presidency in full accordance with the code of conduct of the president. I will not let my personal views interfere with my work as PGA, and I will seek common ground without ignoring differences. Excellencies, I'm able, willing, and ready to serve as your president from day one. I ask for your trust and support, and I thank you for listening.
Thank you. I thank Mr. Rahman.